Hi everyone, I am Suraj and today we'll be studying about historical background of Indian Constitution. So let's begin. Now here you can see that Constitution of India depicting the Preamble of India, and these are the 395 articles, 8 schedules and preamble. When actually our constitution enacted originally, then only 395 articles were there and 8 schedules and preambles. The process started from 1946 when Constituent Assembly formed. Okay, so we see when preamble, we the people of India having solemnly resolved to constitute India into sovereign democratic republic and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic and political liberty of thoughts, expression, belief, faith and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity of nations. Unity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact and give to ourselves this constitution. Okay, so that's you see our constitutional part. Now the question is, why do we need a constitution basically? So first of all, in 1934, Indian National Congress made the demand for a Constituent Assembly. Why? It is because, first of all, when we talk of constitution, it's necessary because it's clear the rule that is in between government and public. Okay, first thing. Second thing is that lots of groups are and society, culture, different type of culture, society, ethnic groups. So for living in harmony, there is need of certain rules. So that's why the constitution needed. And the other thing is that we were not free at that time. We were part of British colony. So that's why people started raising their voice against the Britishers, as they roll and twist their rules according to their needs and not for our welfares. So Indians started struggling, and so here we see the Indian national movement. Here you can see that at that time we were forced to obey rules. Okay, so basically almost all part of Indian society active in the participation, like you can say that zamindars, peasants, business class, students, industrialists, and this type of women's also started participating. Lots of organization, like you can say that 1885 most important, the Indian National Congress. So these were the parts of struggle. Okay, after the Second World War, when India assisted in Second World War the Britishers, they expected that they would help us in our governance, and the Constituent Assembly will be formed, and Indians will be part of that, but that didn't happen. So struggle aggravated, and you can say that intensified. Okay, so basically the story begins with the formation of East India Company, that is given by Queen Elizabeth first permitted East India Company for trade in India. Okay, so East India Company actually come as a traders in India, but later on the circumstances changes and it become ruler. You can see that. Okay, here you can see that in 1765 Robert Clive accepting the Divani of Bengal, Bihar and Odisha from the Mughal ruler in 1760. So 1765 Allahabad Treaty, that happened after 1764, Battle of Buxar. Okay. But after Battle of Buxar, the 1765 treaty, Allahabad Treaty happened, and then company got Diwani rights. But the thing is that even though company got Diwani rights, but its revenue halves. Okay, means it didn't get so much profit as the officials get corrupted. They started taking bribes, okay, taking gifts and so on. So officials of East India Company got richer, but the company revenue fell. So that's why the company went to the British government, and then after the 1773 Regulating Act came, where the regulation started. Okay, and then we see the Supreme Court 1774. Also the Governor General of Bengal came, and the Madras and Bombay presidencies made subordinate to Governor General of Bengal. Okay, and here the Board of Control for Political Affairs come. So that basically the regulation started here, and lots of prohibition on the official, as they were active in the corruption. So that's why lots of prohibition. Okay, now here you can see that 1781 Act of Settlement came, where we see that Muslims were tried according to Mohammedan law and Hindus were tried according to Hindu law, and some other factors of. In 1784 Pitt's India Act, we see that two things happen: a Board of Control and Court of Directors. These two things: Court of Directors for commercial affairs, Board of Control for political affairs, basically. Okay, after that in 1786 we see that Cornwallis was Governor General, also Commander in Chief, and he has also the power of overriding the council decisions. Okay, so in 1793 we see that the overriding decision extended to future Governor Generals. And one other thing happened is 20 years, like you can see that the gap between 1793 Act and Charter Act of 1813. So for 20 years monopoly of East India Company extended. That happened. Now after Charter Act of 1813 we see that the monopoly abolished, but in the case of tea and in respect with the China, the monopoly was still there for the East India Company. But then in 1833, but before we also see that missionaries allowed, and Western education also started, like some provisions of 1 lakh rupees and some other things. Okay, in 1833 monopoly completely abolished. It means it freed any British merchants can come India and trade. So that's happened. One thing we should notice is that from 1773 to 1833 we see the basically centralizing tendency. Okay, centralizing tendency means the regulation was centralized in some way. But after 1833, literally in 1853 we see some activities. Okay, so in 1853 when took up, it's a separated for the first time the legislative and executive function of the Governor General's Council. Okay, introduced open competition for civil services, so that's started. And at 1854 the Macaulay Committee, so that was for civil services, and that's also formed in according to Charter Act of 1853. So that's a thing happened. And hereafter we see that when we see the revolution that happened in 1857, that almost shook the empire. Okay, so you can say that after Sepoy Mutiny, we also say that first freedom struggle of India, 1857. After that, in 1858, Crown overtook the power. Okay, or that's also called Good Governance Act of India. Okay, here the basic thing is that the Governor General, there comes Viceroy, one thing. The second thing is Board of Control and Court of Directors abolished, and here came Secretary of State for India. So